We're, we're in a courtyard, the loading yard of the warehouse. A cement grey space, steps and slopes and flat faced walls climbing stories around it. A couple of people slouching, drinking, waiting for the nihilism to start. Suddenly, away from the pub, away from the street, the drink was wearing off, leaving me aware that I wasn't going to fit in here. Daniel had switched to his emergency reserve tanks just in case reality intruded. He had that look on him when it seemed like he was so tall you couldn't see up into his eyes and he wouldn't look at you, only straight ahead, which was a foot above your head. A determination to lose first you and then himself came off him. I didn't blame him. I'd like to lose us too. Why did we come? He doesn't answer, looks around instead. I didn't feel quite as cool as I hoped I would. The idea of going to a squat party in a warehouse the night before the police were going to evict them was turning out to be better than actually going. These people were serious. Metal boots, entrance security, and hair that wouldn't come out and everything. I stood in the courtyard and popped a Foster's, voodoo for the sociologically incongruous. If I wasn't one of them, at least I wouldn't be me soon either. I'd be persona non compos mentis. I began to drink too fast. Dan disappeared somewhere. Nothing unusual for either of us so far then. We each went on to have classic evenings of our own, one that I'd like to forget and he'd like to remember. In the middle of the courtyard there's this vehicle, like an old fire engine or something, except it's green. It's non-civilian anyway, two guys standing by it looking less congruous than me. I sidle up and sit on the wheel arch and we start talking. Because none of us are girls and we're crap at talking to girls, so we're all we've got. We quickly establish that I want to establish that I'm clever, but it doesn't work, as usual. One of them's studying something much too hard somewhere, much too prestigious. He looks like a tramp, skanky kid's beard, greasy clothes, and whatever hair happened to him that day. He looks a lot like me, actually. Probably curator at the Met by now. Me, I Janet. I asked them about where we are. They shrug. Sketchy details, squat, eviction, party. There's a bar inside, though. There's a band downstairs, too, later. I don't know if this is good or bad. Where are they going to live after tomorrow, I ask. More shrugs. That scares me. Nowhere to go. Nowhere to be is bad enough. I want a friend. Someone to look after me. Because I'm getting out of my depths here again, out in society, even its underbelly. I want to confide in these two. I want them to help me integrate, show me how to enjoy whatever happens, whatever happens. It doesn't help that it feels like an audition for their friendship, and they are in no need of me, but I them. One of them smiles like Robert Newton. I finish the first Foster's and crack another. I have to move a can from one pocket to the other because I'm unbalancing from the weight of the beer on one side. When I transfer it from my pocket to my stomach later, it has the same effect. The conversation grinds along unlubricated. We're not at the stage of riotous ribaldry or melancholic meanderings yet, still too early. So we have to pretend to have some kind of rational exchange. We actually talk about college. One of them has finished and is doing something else, but all I can think about is how I'm not listening to him. So exactly what he's now doing escapes my inattention. A mistake if it was something I'd want to do, although I have no idea what I want to do anyway. So even if I'd paid attention, I might not have recognised it as something I might have wanted to. What? This train of thought finally derailed itself, and I was snapped back into my immediacy, looking out of my eyes, hearing out of my ears, wishing I was out of my head. I made an noise to mean I'm listening. He turned away. His friend lit a cigarette and looked around the yard at some people just arrived. There was a tall girl with them. I watched her. I always watch tall girls. They're different from us, like the rich. They're taller. The new people went through a doorway into the warehouse and it was back to ourselves. None of us looked thrilled with each other. I don't think any of us wanted to do what we were doing, but that was so unremarkable, no one remarked on it. It was us, or maybe it was me. Happened to me a lot like this. I brought something unpleasant with me, like taking dirty laundry on holiday. The only strange part of it was why anyone put up with me. Not Daniel, though. I mean, it's not strange he put up with me. He's an idiot. Well, we might as well get on with it while the stuff gets ready to happen somewhere else. I was feeling like we were stuck on the soul of the party, a gum addendum, hoping to be carried along by the pace of events. We would abandon each other as soon as something better happened. Miserably, we'd agreed to this drab deal, party to our mutual betrayal. We smoked, drank. Somebody said something, someone answered. Servants' whispers in the scullery below the banquet. Daniel came out and stood in the doorway of the warehouse and looked around the yard. He saw me with these two characters, but didn't come over. He put a joint in his mouth and lit it. The end flared up and he took it out of his mouth and tipped the point up and blew on the flame till it went out. He tapped it away from him with his forefinger like Audrey Hepburn, and some sparks dropped. He put it back in his mouth and drew on it a long time. He took it out of his mouth but didn't exhale. He looked at me again, and he was nearly the same person as last time. I could see the clouds of intoxication beginning to swirl behind his eyes, creating his version of clarity, higher consciousness, whatever. He'd be no help to me now. He goes back in. My companions look sly suddenly, like they know something I don't. Could be any one of a million things I don't know, but something has shifted. Maybe I exposed myself too much. Maybe they see my vulnerability, my shallowness, my nothing. I look from one face to the other, concealing nothing. Ha! One of them says. Yeah, says the other. It passes. The first one says something I don't catch to the other. The second one snickers. I look away and pull at the Fosters, looking up the dead windows and the facade above. This was all going so well, I should have quit while I was ahead. This was the high point of the evening, and the last sequence of non-events I could recall afterwards. Me sitting on the green fire engine thing, with these two Shakespearean footpads in the courtyard below the castle keep.